Bro,
How you doing, man?
good man. Can you hear me? You can hear me, huh?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Can you hear me clear? Sound like my microphone connected?
Yeah, you
Let me
definitely
double check.
connected. Yeah, I don't know if it's your mic or if it's your internal speaker, but it's good and loud.
Okay, all right, let me turn it down then.
No, I probably need to turn down on my end, probably what it was.
Okay, man. Good to see you, bro. Happy New Year,
Yeah,
2025.
yes, sir. Man, you too. What's the day? So we had a good little time. So cause you were on, what do you call that? A sabbatical or
I guess sabbatical could be, the word used, but I was just on a little just unplugging, man. Just, unplugging from social media and just unplugging from the world. And yeah, just spending time with myself and getting growing deeper with God, man.
yeah. So now what does that consist of? Is it like no what all did you cut out?
No music, no television, no social media. Um, and for me, like I did a challenge, with my group of 10,000 steps a day, 10 minutes of devotional every morning, and 10 minutes of meditation every day. So yeah. So it was cool, man. A lot of clarity, a lot of just wisdom and insight. Hang on, buddy. So but anyway, yeah, man.
Man, that's a
Get a
man.
little reset.
That's amazing, man. You know what? That's the beauty too of single life. That's the beauty. Like you gotta get that part out, that because it's you almost can't really do that in a marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless your spouse wants to do it too. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
never can guarantee that we'll be on the same, level spiritually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and then different people need different things. So now it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you could do it, but no TV, no music, because it's like
Yeah.
you get in the car with the family, they're not finna ride in silence.
Yeah, man.
And then you come home, it's like they want to watch the game, they want to watch whatever. So
Yeah.
that's like, yes, it's versions of it that could be done, but I think that's the part of single life that a lot of people miss. Like that they don't take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then, know how to, okay, let me figure out the married version of this.
Bro, man, that's what God been dealing with me on, man. I just been praying about um just like a spirit of humility, man, because it is easy in your single season. Like you get caught up in your singleness and being alone. And my prayer is just like, God, I don't want to get full of myself or get beside myself in this season to where I can't receive the right partner that you have for me because my lifestyle's so perfect or curated, like just, but I just been praying and just in this season, like God just been humbling me in a healthy way, just like God, like I don't know. I surrender all, like show me, and I want to keep an open mind and but also respecting too. I understand too where the Bible said it's good for man to be alone, like seeing both sides of that and like really trying to do things the right way, but still keep an open mind, like, all right, God, like, yeah, how would a marriage look? How do I fit somebody into this and still maintain the purpose and the call and balancing out? Because that's one thing you always like bring me down to reality on, like, bro, when you have kids, when you have a wife, your diet not gonna always be this or your routine with this and that. And so I get that now, man. And I just recently celebrated a birthday, bro. And it's crazy. A lot of stuff that you've told me in younger years. Like now I'm like, man, I get where Tony coming from now. And just I'm thankful for these moments, bro, just to be able to like talk about these things in live time, man. But anyway, yeah, man.
It's a difference. I feel like single life is war and married life is peace. And and both are the same. Like both are the opposite. But
Yeah,
what I mean by war is you have to go to spiritual warfare because you got to buffet your body, buffet your mind to
yeah,
stay faithful to God. Like Apostle Paul, like he said, I buffet my body daily. Like
yeah,
he had to. So it's like, if you're going to be single, go to war, meaning get to a space to where you really like pedal to the metal in your purpose.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then marriage is like the spoils of war. You come home from battle and you lay in your wife's supple breasts and you cuddle with your kids and
Yeah. Yeah.
you eat joyous and merry and you have feast. Whereas in war, you go days of fasting because you can't move, because you laid low and you hiding out from the enemy, and you mapping, you plotting, you watching for your life. So you can't be sitting there, turned up on a red wine, stomach
Yep.
full, or you gonna get your head cut off.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
when you think about it spiritually, that's the difference. And that's why we call it like marriage weight and all of that, because you come more into a space of like peace and rest.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
your war looks different. Your war is more so you still doing the work, but it's not as hard because you got somebody right there you can hold hands with and pray with.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got somebody that's praying for you, but you still doing the work because you got to remain adultery free,
Yeah. Yeah.
porn free. You still have to be, eyes locked in on one woman and all of that. So that's the difference what I see. And so like even when you look at me and you, we 10 years apart, but well, I turned 41 in 2 months. But you look like you ready for war. You see what I'm saying? Like you look like a spiritual killer, like you a
Mm.
spiritual warfare. You look at your skin, chiseled face, you take, whereas me, you go see a little, bags under the eyes. Me and my wife, we up to 2 o'clock in the morning talking. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have me a little gut on me. It's just different, but
Yeah.
it's beauty in both things. And one of the things that I regret, which I wouldn't say regret, because maybe I would have got stuck there. But one of the things that I didn't get to do is see the beauty and the purpose of single life like you getting to do. So that's why I'm happy for you on that. But then
Yeah.
I also understand the other side, that
Yeah. Yeah.
challenge of, all right, like as married men, we got a lot of stories. Like,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
walk in the bathroom and it's a tampon sitting on top of the garbage can and it done bled through the toilet paper. I hear guys talking about that kind of stuff. And some women, oh, that's nasty. I never do that. But no, you can't say that. Like
It's reality.
it's reality. And
Yeah.
so it's different. And so just
Yeah.
having your space ain't your space no more. So
Yep.
the way you like to clean, the way you like stuff, now you got somebody else, they got their own way, and you got to be able to
Hang on, man.
see the beauty in that too.
Yeah, bro. That's what God been showing me is just like, because you're right, bro. Being in a single season, you can get accustomed to things, and I also pray too, my God, help me to not become jaded, you know. Because you said like I'm ready for war, because bro, I've been in war, bro. I had a situation the other day, and I made a YouTube video about it, but bro, I was walking to the coffee shop to do some work, right? And as I'm on the way to the coffee shop, I got my AirPods in because I just broke the fast. So I'm listening to some music, just having a good time, having a good day. I done put a little effort into my outfit, not looking like a killer. I ain't have on all black. I put on, a little bit of a fit. And I see this black girl in front of me while I'm walking. She's walking the opposite direction. And bro, where I live at, I never see black women. So when I see a black girl, I make extra like, let me slow down. Let me try and get ready for some convo. But I locked eyes with her and she locked eyes with me. So she gave me the social cue that she was interested, right? So I slow down, we get close in proximity, and I pull my AirPod out to start to say something to her. And the first thing she said out of her mouth was, do I want to buy her a drink? And mind you, bro, it's like 11 a.m. in the morning. And I'm like, you gotta be drunk already, or just I'm like, this can't be reality. Like you don't know me from Adam. You ain't say, hey, I think you're cute. You ain't compliment. You just want to get straight to it, right? And in the moment, I was just like, I just said, nah, I'm good. Put it in my AirPods and just kept walking. I was just like, that really didn't just happen. But bro, the challenge was like seeing my growth as a man, right? Because I come off as a square type of guy, preppy look, right? And so like I'll get girls that'll try me that way, right? And for me, in that moment, when I thought back on it, I was like, man, I could have took advantage of that situation. You just want me to buy you a drink? Cool. Like I could get down to a transactional level, buy you a drink, but then I know that I could probably sleep with you too. Like I know how to play the game, you know what I'm saying? And so it was God showing me my growth, man, because I just sidestepped that. I was just like, man, I'm not even about to, to entertain this. I couldn't believe it happened. But just at the same time, I was just like, man, I'm thankful that I'm serious about, like, if I'm gonna interact with a woman, I'm looking for my wife and not sex, because that could have been I could have played the fool and went along with it as if I'm a dummy, and got what I wanted out of situation and been transactional. But I just kept moving. But it was like God showing me like your growth. And this is literally the day after I broke my fast, and I had did a 3-day water fast too. And I'm just like God, thank you that like I desire to be a good man. Like, I'm trying to be a man after God's own heart because the temptation be coming. But bro, like I was in a sauna before, we had this convo today, bro. And I was just sitting there like, God, thank you. Like that for like me getting back to the man that you created me to be versus who the world wants me to be, right? Because again, like even when somebody referenced me as Russell Wilson the other day, I was kind of offended, like, man, I ain't no square dude, I ain't this or that. But when I thought about the archetype between a Russell Wilson in the future, I would much rather be known as a man that's married, faithful to his wife. And this is just me talking I don't know their life, but just from what the world's view, like, yeah, I want to be that type of man. Like that's who I was raised to be. But through heartbreak, through being around other unhealthy men, you want to be like Future. You want to be that man that can't settle down, that got multiple baby mamas all over the place. Like that's the archetype that's dangled in front of our face. And so through that whole interaction, I'm like, God, thank you that I'm no longer moving like a Future, because I do have that appeal to me to where like, oh, Caleb looks like a good guy, but then I got Future tendencies in me. You know what I'm saying? And that's dangerous. But like I thank God that I know myself and that like I no longer even want to play like that no more, and fall into the deceptions and the traps. But like, man, let me just get to the coffee shop, man, and just do what I was doing because she was my type, bro. Like she was pretty, she was cute, everything that like I like. But then there's this guy just showing me like, man, just trust me, and then also again just being guarded and having boundaries for myself, because that probably worked on a lot of dudes, right? She got pretty privileged, so most dudes will probably crumble for that. But I'm like, man, nah, you ain't that good looking. But also I'm just not in that place no more either. Like I've moved beyond that, and so it's like a test. Like again, right after I'm coming out of fast, like, you want to be Future or you want to be Russell Wilson?
And you know what? Right after you come out of the fast, it's really like turn these rocks into bread.
Bro.
Like how, Satan tempted Jesus. Like, here goes this pretty woman right after the fast. Like, you want to buy
Yes.
me a drink. And it was a low level test. It's not really a test for a giant, but the devil try. He try. And that's where we get to kind of see it. We get to see the way of escape that God shows us, and we get to kind of laugh at it. But in that laughter, we can't get cocky and complacent because that next test gonna be harder.
Right.
And it's like a low level test. Like, let me see if he'll fall for this. All right, he passed that with flying colors. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, watch this one. Then it's going to get a little bit more, sneaky, a little bit more covert.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's really, really, really. And so I'm seeing that the different levels of tests. And man, look here. That thing get real. That thing get real. Man, I just met a young lady today in business and in hiring for my elite basketball team. And she's 31. And like you. And she's not married, but she also did not mention a boyfriend either. And she's the sharpest young lady I've ever met.
Mm.
And I mean, I was like blown away. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like what she's saying is that she's single, but I also feel like with where she is with the Lord and her walk with the Lord and how the Lord and taking her out of big city life and then has brought her to settle back at home and like just recalibrate. I'm like, most men would not be able to communicate on this level and like really understand her. And I'm like, she is She in the wilderness, and but she was so sharp and just her knowledge because she's a nutritionist and how she living her life and like leaving corporate. And
Wow.
so just seeing that, like, wow, okay, this exists. Like, so and I randomly met her through a connection, a guy who was a very sharp brother, married and faithful. And she said something to me about him. She was like, him and this other guy. She said, those two guys, me and my sister, because we know how we look, we understand all of that. We never been around men that love their wives that much. And just that about their wife. And we didn't feel anything from them, like flirtatious or anything. She was like, those the first two men that, and I'm like, man, so that's a lesson for me. Is like, make sure that I always have that right energy. But then two, to see that the good women are also single or unmarried. Or I think she's single altogether because I feel like she would have mentioned a boyfriend. But it said something to me like, when you go into that space that you in, you're not gonna mesh with everybody. Like you're not going to like that young lady probably has been feeding her mind of these ghetto ratchet conversations on stages around the country, watching that stuff,
Yeah.
watching these podcasts, watching the young ladies that's talking about how you seduce a man, how you get
Yeah.
a man, how you play a man, and all of this. Because that sounds like one of them type of corny lines. Do you want to buy me a drink?
Bro, it blew my mind. I was like, this is not reality, you know? Cause then I thought about it, you know, at first I was like, man, she really think I'm a fool. But then I thought about it, and then I really had compassion for him. I'm like, actually, that's sad because I see how carnal minded and blind you are. But then also I thought deeper. I was just like, man, you know what? This is a transactional woman. And it just made me think, I was like, did she have a father in her life? Or maybe the only reference or connection she had with a father was a transaction of child support. And so now you look to men and you think that this is all a man is supposed to be as a transaction, you know? Especially within our community, man. You know, like I've run across that. And I'm not saying that all black women are like this, but I've run across that with some of our sisters, man, and it's unfortunate. But also when I look at the statistics of how many of us grow up with help with fathers in general, but then having a healthy father around to like understand a man, you know, and just so many various things. But then I think just in general, like the world is changing and women are getting bolder. And where I live at, you know, it's a lot of women that are well to do, and I've experienced that too. When women start to make a little money, they feel more comfortable approaching a man. You know, it's kind of like the roles kind of reverse in a way, you know. So I've learned how to handle it, but also like to sidestep it because you know what I'm saying? Like it's that dog in every man that you have to keep suppressed from. Like, man, like I could really take advantage of this because you showing like you approaching me, you know, like so I know you're interested. And so I know that I could manipulate this if I wanted to. I'm not having to handle rejection and go after you like falling down in front of me. And some women I don't think really understand like they can run across the wrong man and really get played where they feel powerful and they feel like they're a boss. Man, the right dude can play that in a and so like I really sat and looked at the whole situation and I was just like, man, God, thank you. But then also just I had compassion too. Like, man, what was in her spirit or what's the state of her spirit to feel comfortable? It's 11 o'clock too. It's 11 o'clock in the morning on a random Wednesday. Like, and you want to drink right now? It just let me know so many things was off. And like I just had compassion for it later on. I was just like, man, it's kind of sad, you know. And but you know, but also too, bro, like I realized too, God been working on me because I didn't get jaded by that experience. My mind didn't go like, man, all black girls today are transactional, this or that. It's like, nah, I still believe in love. I still believe in hope. But it's my duty as a man in those moments to be a model and be an example. Like, man, I'm not falling for this, you know, but also I can sidestep you and not fall to a Delilah or a Jezebel. Like, all right, man, keep it moving. I'm a leader. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just a lot that like I just see again in that situation how it turned out, but the state of people today, you know, I think it's a lot of toxic voices out here, man. It's a lot of people working for the adversary and it's unbeknownst to them. You know, they feel like they're doing good work, but they're blind spiritually, you know, don't realize the messages that they're spreading. Just even just like in the music industry, man, just when I think about how many songs are out there and it's about objectifying a woman's body, but then also like if a man ain't got money, that's not my type, or all this like stuff that we don't think about. We just listen to it and just like jam to it and whatnot. But you're programming your spirit and your mind to act from this place, you know? And so again, just the 2 week period of unplugging and all of that is just like God giving me a revelation of like the work that I need to do and the work that I'm called to do too, you know, in this space of like, you know, I'm a single man and just more so offering perspective than I am advice, you know, just in live time. And like, this is what I'm growing and going through, you know? And, but anyway, man, it is war, bro. But, you know, I'm thankful for the strength to be armored up, to be a warrior, to fight, you know, because man, I used to get whooped up by these battles, you know, like easy bait, like, all right, cool. Like I know I'm asleep with her, you know, within 2 nights, but then what does that do to me? Then now I've given pieces of myself and I'm in the backslidden state, you know, over some easy cheeks being dangled in front of me, you know. But
Mm.
instead of just saying like, nah, man, I'm gonna stay the course, you know, because the journey do get lonely, bro. I do have them days I'm like, man, I just, you know, I wish I had a shorty to kick it with, you know, and then all right, this comes up right in front of me, but being able to discern like immediately now, this is not my wife. I see where your spirit's at, and I ain't got time for that. You know, I think that's the power of moving in purpose, is like your level of discernment with things, all things. Like now, even with business, you know, I get opportunities and things that come my way, and I'm like, man, that don't align with my purpose and where I'm going. Like it's a good thing, but it ain't a God thing, you know?
Man, that's good. That's good. And the beauty of that space is learning the power of no and knowing how to say no to the things that are not of God or from God. Or it could be of God, meaning it could be Christian work, but just not for your purpose and the
Yes.
season that you're in. Like I turned down 2 speaking engagements, you know, this week, and it was just, yeah, I could have earned thousands of dollars, but I'm like, I'm in a season of this home stretch with my son being a senior, to where I just don't feel the need to leave home if it's not really gonna move the needle for my household as
Mm,
far as providing,
yeah,
because I could do the work from home. So it's
yeah,
like if I'm still doing the work and I'm still reaching, then the only benefit of me leaving the house is for somebody else, for them to, you know, align their brand with my brand because my brand is established, and them to say, you know, this established person is coming to speak here. So our event is validated. And I'm
yeah,
like, you know, I don't want to lend that validation for unless it's going to really move the needle for my family. And you know, and people want you to stay stuck. You know, they want you to stay where you're at. So they still come to you with the same, you know, offering and level that you was at 10 years ago.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I noticed what has so many bad actors is the money. Like they get out here and they create a message and they start making money from it. And then they try to change the message or do something different. Like I was looking at one of the podcasts the other day, and they had a wholesome guest on, and they had, I didn't click on it, but I just, you know, when you scroll and you could see it says live and it said like 800 people watching, which sounds like a lot. But when they doing something that's like messy, it'll say like 4,000 people watching. And that was so sad to see the state of our world, that here go this podcast who touch on a lot of Christian topics. But if they create a debate between two men who gonna sit there and argue with each other, it's 4 or 5,000 people watching. If they create something to where it's just pure wisdom or teaching or something that seems boring, now it's not even half of that. And it show you the state that we in. So that's why with these conversations we having, you know, we got to make sure that we crank it up and continue to be consistent and just have a voice out there for people who really want to grow and have some introspection by being able to be a fly on the wall in our conversation, where we just hop on here, no pre convo. We hop on, it's rolling, we recording, and we just jump right into the conversation. So it's completely, fully authentic. nothing rehearsed, nothing edited out, none of that. Just a pure conversation. And from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So with us having no preparation, no any pre-convo where we done sat and talked for an hour or whatever, when you get on here, we could say a lot of reckless stuff if our heart isn't in the right place. And I think that's what people need to realize is like we need to start holding each other accountable, pushing each other to just elevate our level of thinking, which will elevate our level of living.
Yeah, yeah, bro. It's a lack of authenticity and purpose, man. You know, the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." But bro, we live in the digital age, right? This and I see so many people that's hurting and struggling and looking like they got it all together, but have no fulfillment, have no peace, have no purpose with anything that they're doing in life. And just the state of like dating and marriage today, everything's so casual and you're just another number, you know, I can swipe right or slide in another DM, you know what I'm saying? Like it just shows the lack of like love, you know, but the presence of lust and everything else that is absent of God. And bro, it's just man, there was something I seen recently within my community of this younger dude. He probably like maybe like 5 or 6 years younger than me. And I saw something in the news recently that he got caught up in a murder. And I'm just like, man, like, bro, it's so much real stuff going on around us, bro, that like if we could all individually get back to our purpose and being who God has called us to be, the souls that we would be able to save and like the narratives that would change if we would just align and be who we are, but we so caught up with in nonsense, bro. And I hate to always be harping on social media, man, but it's really if you're not careful, man, that's the serpent of today, you know, to get into your ear, to get into your mind. And I just see so many souls that are lost, bro. And it just my heart aches, bro, especially for our community, just to see so many young boys and girls, like just even the rate of like sex trafficking that's going on, bro. That's like going unseen. Like we spending so much time worried about celebrity gossip and drama and arguing back and forth. It's stuff going on within our own communities that's just like right under our eyes because we so blind and we locked into these phones all the time and we not connecting with our community and our people. That's one thing that I realized like in my like my 2 week media fast, like how much more present I was and calling my people, calling my friends instead of just like looking online like, oh, they seem to be doing well. Like I'm having hour-long, 2-hour-long conversations with my family and with my friends and loved ones and really like being in tune with my reality, bro. It's like it's real, it's like a real life matrix out here, like red pill or blue pill. Do you want to stay distracted? Do you want to stay in this fairy tale world and be lost? Or do you want to like wake up and see what's really going on? You know, like it kind of sat in my heart too, just I just heard through people just in my day-to-day life about what was going on in LA, the fires and different things that was going on while I was unplugged. And I'm like, bro, it's like we're at real war. You know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but it's spiritual powers that we gotta like awaken to, man. And that's why, just even for myself, bro, like I said, like is God showing me that, like, Caleb, you got to stay focused on me, because as a single man, my struggle can be like wanting to be like if I pay attention to guys on the internet, I can get caught up in chasing money. I could probably get on Instagram and use your name for clout and be like chasing women. You know, like the thing is like I'm aware of myself and I'm aware of like what I could be doing, but I'm also aware of my purpose. You know, again, it's that both sides, it's the red pill and the blue pill. I'm like, God, I want to continue to choose you because I've done it wrong the other way. And how many people need this, bro? You know, like how many brothers need who didn't grow up and have healthy men around and need to hear an opposing view from what the adversary is telling them to be, you know, that it ain't all about money. It ain't all about chasing women, but living a life of purpose, you know, like I texted you the other day and when we are talking about my birthday and you're like, man, you're so young. And in the season, I've just been trying not to get caught up in my youth either. You know, like, yeah, I am young, but man, tomorrow's not promised. And for me personally, I don't want to waste no more time working for the adversary, being in lust, chasing things of this world, because I might die at 32, you know? And I want to leave this earth knowing that, man, I was living for Christ and that I came here to fulfill the mission that you had for me, regardless of the amount of time that I have. I try not to get caught up in that. Yeah, I'm young, I got time, but I don't know. You know, but what I do know is my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing, and I see the war that's going on around me. You know, I see men who don't have discipline and can't control themselves. So let me be that role model and that example, even if they never know me in real life. But it's me getting on the internet and speaking my truth. And like you said, you know, out of the mouth comes the man's heart. Like, I have such a conviction right now that I know that behind closed doors, I can live a double life, you know, but I understand how the spirit work and that God would not allow us to be aligned together if I'm not living in who he has called me to be, you know? And so, man, it's just so much that I see, man. And just, again, stepping into 2025, my prayers, like, God, humility, staying aligned, you know, in this season, and just being an example, not getting caught up in things of this world. You know, you made a video the other day talking about 40+ year old like single men, and I realized that, like, man, if I'm not careful, I could live that same story, right? Where I could come online, if I don't check my ego, I could get caught up in how many followers and attention and like things of the world that I'm getting, and it's a bunch of women out here, and I got options and never truly settle down, you know. But I'm thankful for my journey again of having done it the wrong way and understanding that all of that stuff is futile, you know. And like, God, keep me humble. Like, God, even God, if I don't make no more money, I just want to stay in purpose, you know. Like, if God, if you call me to live a totally different life, like today I was just praying, like, God, I surrender all. Like, how hard that is as a man to say no to money, to say no to things that are good things and are reasonable things that align with what you can do, versus God, like, your will be done, you know? So I'm like, God, keep me in that place, because, bro, it really is war. It's always war, you know. But that's why we're here, and that's why we're aligned as soldiers to do this work, whether single or not. The war and the work still goes on, right? The harvest is plenty, but the labors are few.
You're right about that. Man, I had so many thoughts when you was flowing that I didn't want to, cut you off. But one of the things I wanted to say to you is I said to you, man, you so young. And it's great to hear your take on it, because your take on it is my same take on it, but I never want to put my pressure on somebody else, because if I'm honest, 31 is old to me. But I said young because to the world it's young. And
Yeah,
but for me, like, I felt 31 was a big year. And it was like a new level. It was an elevation. Like, I had this dream of being an NBA life coach. And God brought that to pass when I was 31. And at 31 is when I got blessed with my first house. And God sent a business deal to where I was able to buy my house for my family. But at 31, I was married 8 years. And I was afraid, because I became an international speaker at 29, and I had been working with the NBA since 26. So I said, Lord, am I going to die young? Because I was hitting so many things was happening. I'm like, Lord, am I going to die young? And that was my fear. I was like, Lord, I'm doing too much. Like, slow me down. And I wasn't really trying, like, to go crazy, but if things was happening, and so I say that to say, okay, if Jesus fulfilled purpose at 33, that's always our mindset, that, okay, 33 is old because I could be gone. And so I feel you 1000% of, like,
yeah,
tomorrow is not promised,
yeah,
and you got to go. You got to do it. Like, you got to make it happen what God called you to, and you got to make sure. But one thing I found though, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but working for the Lord, I wouldn't say pays well, but I would say his promises are true. Meaning he makes sure you taken care of through however he gets that to you. He makes sure that if you got to leave corporate, if you got to leave blue collar, white collar for your cross, to carry your cross, he makes sure that if it's just people just putting money in your bucket, just sowing into your ministry, just pouring out into your bosom, he makes sure you taken care of. And that's one of the things he has shown me, without begging for people to take care of me.
Yeah.
Just creating what he gives me and him giving me favor to where people go buy the course, go sign up for this group, go buy the book, sign up for one-on-one coaching. People make donations.
Yeah.
And I'm always confused by a donation because I'm like, I don't lifestyle market, but I also don't necessarily hide my lifestyle. Like if it shows in an organic way, it shows. So if I'm getting on a private jet with my family and we take a family photo, I post it. And and so a donation always confuses me because I expect people's heart to be hardened. But what God shows me is that no, I'm gonna soften the heart of the people that's for you. Because I understand that flight don't mean anything. I understand you still could go broke tomorrow.
Yeah.
I understand that that's for convenience for that situation. And it'll be people who I don't know where they are financially, but they'll sow into me. And it's some people who do it weekly, like a handful of people. And I'm like, Lord, what is this? And it just reminded me of like the Bible days, how he made sure his servant had a place to lay their head.
Yeah.
They had food to eat,
Yeah.
and he clothed and fed them while they was doing his work.
Yeah.
And some got a double portion, you know, over, above, and beyond, pressed down, shaking together, and running over.
Yeah.
And I've had those seasons. And I've squandered those seasons and I've made mistakes and he still restored me.
Mm.
He let me sit and get the lesson and then he'll build me back up with a newfound wisdom. And I do better each time. Each time that the feast comes, I put up more for the famine. And so it's lessons in it. And this at the top of the year, you know, and being January and you having just come off that fast, it's a powerful and important time of the year too to share these type of lessons.
Yeah.
And because man, that's an amazing thing what you did. And honestly, I had not really thought about social media in the way that you put it because I'm always focused on sexual immorality. But I realized that a lot of sexual immorality is the fruit of the seed social media plants. And so it's all tied in together.
Yeah.
But that social media is it's like a gateway. And that right there, I feel like every single person, and even those of us who earn a living from social media, I feel like every person should do a social media detox. And I did one recently, but it was only 4 days because I was on vacation with my wife. But man, it was the best thing I have felt. I was like, Lord, don't mess around and let me figure out a way to not have to use social media to earn a living, like, because that's my marketing, you know, it's
Yeah.
how I tell people about my courses. And I really don't market like that on Instagram, but I use YouTube.
Yeah.
But man, being away, and that's maybe another way that we can do it as creators is front load content, take a couple few days and just build the content, but then take our escape and be away from it to where it's not affecting us, but the stuff
Yeah.
already pre-scheduled.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that, but it was freeing. I felt so much lighter. I just felt like I could float. I was like,
Yeah.
man, boy, Lord, don't
Yeah.
mess around and let me hit it big because I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah, I hope you do. I hope you do. You get in the amount of content you got, bro. You got catalogs that people could watch hours and days and years of worth of you. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things, man, where you ask the average person, and that I equate it to weed, right? I remember having a convo with a friend one time. I was just like, man, just take if you're not addicted to weed, just take a 2 week break. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't addicted. I just don't want to do it. I'm like, you can't do it. Like it's like drugs is more than just weed, alcohol, caffeine, sugar. Social media affects the same receptors in our brain, you know, but it's become so normalized. I'm like, man, like I'm not saying quit social media. I just want you to see yourself in a different way off of it to get back to like who you really are, because we moving in a time where it's hard for people to remember who they were in their life outside of social media. You know what I'm saying? Like I was born in the 90s and you was born before me. So you had a whole life before the internet, you know, but you now you got a group of kids that's all they gonna know coming into the world is the internet, you know. And I'm just like, man, like it's a tool. We got to use it. We got to be on here. We got to have a presence. We can't just let it go. But man, I'm all about reminding people, man, you got to take a Sabbath. You got to take a moment in your life where you just unplug and get back to your creator. Just take one day, right? And just no social media and just do that weekly. If you can't do 2 weeks, just do one day. But it's so addicting. Like even for myself, bro, I only got back on Instagram the last 2 weeks of the year. And in that time, bro, when I started my fast January 1, I found myself the habit of like reaching for my phone all the time had came back, you know? And I realized I'm like, man, I don't like this because I'm losing myself. I'm losing self-control. I'm doing things unconsciously because that's what is the algorithm, the code of this app is designed to do is to keep you addicted and to keep coming back, you know? And it's tough, bro, because it's like, okay, God, how do I build a brand? How do I be a light? But also not get caught up in the world or caught up in the internet because it's hard. Like I'm just being realistic about this. It's hard not to get caught up in the comparison trap of money, of women, of lifestyle. Like, man, I should be living like being off of social media. I realize how much I love my life. Like I love my life so much, bro. Like I love that I don't have to post about it or talk about it. I can just live it and be in it, you know, and just soak it up. I just been in a state of like, God, thank you that I get to live this life that I live. Thank you that I'm a single man. I got a dog, you know, and I get to just spend all day with my dog, going to coffee shops and working and just living the life. Like I'm just in my present state. Like I'm realizing how fast a memory comes and goes, and like we can get stuck in like wanting to recreate a memory in the future or getting stuck in the past. But I'm just like, God, I just thank you for the present moment of my life right now and just enjoying it. But man, I see so many people just glued to the phones nonstop, man. And it's really a heavy thing, bro. But it's hard to talk about it because we're still using social media, right? But it's like even social interactions, like that girl the other day, I could tell, like, man, you don't have a lot of healthy interactions with the opposite sex. Just like you don't have no just regular casual conversations. Like when she said what she said to me, I'm like, girl, you sound like a text message. Like you sound like a DM, like you responded to a DM or like an internet, like you got an internet brain. You know, like you can't be living in the moment or reality based off of that response. You know, it's like I don't know, man. There's just so much that I see, and I be trying to be quiet about it because it's a normal thing, but bro, like I see how damaging it is to people in the brain. Like how many conversations I've tried to have with people in the real world when they like, man, I forgot what I was saying or where was I at? Like it's really it's affecting us more than just being a bad habit. It's literally making us dumber, you know. But I'm gonna leave it alone. I ain't gonna keep harping on it. I'm gonna just live by example. So y'all see me disappear for 2 weeks is because I want to remain an original.
But you know what though, bro? That's your calling and that's your hill to live on.
Yeah,
And notice I say to live on because that's your calling. Like, so when God gives you the strength to do something, then you're the one who are called and qualified to speak on it. Because the rest
yeah,
of us, if we're not doing that,
yeah,
and I noticed it in seeing like friends and family, like before they had social media, like before they thought to start an Instagram or a Twitter or whatever it is, and then they got that, and then just seeing how you could be around them, be at dinner, you be anywhere, and just scrolling. And I noticed even with myself too, it's just like a subconscious thing. Like just
yeah.
be driving and just grab the phone and just open Instagram and just be scrolling in between lights or,
Right,
in traffic, just scrolling. And
right.
it's just like this robotic drug addict to
Yeah,
where it's like the brain needs that stimuli
yep,
because that release, that dopamine. And it's crazy when you think about it. And so I feel like we all should continue to grow. And as we, come into our close, I want to say that you just inspired me today that because it's almost 10 o'clock my time. And so it's been a day of work for me. And we might be up till midnight but you just inspired me to where when I go home, to just immediately put my phone on the charger and just bask in the presence of my wife.
Yeah.
Even if she on her phone, that's a part of her. Like she'll show me stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm on my phone, then it's not the same because we
Right.
both on the phone. But if I'm seeing what she talking about, it's still bonding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll see that. But that inspired me. And so I definitely want to send that same charge and challenge to everybody who's watching this to think about. And what I would say is open your phone, go to the settings and look at your screen time and see how much screen time, because it's just like with a budget. When you go line by line and see what you're spending money on, it's alarming
Yeah.
when you see how much you're spending and where it's going. So I feel like if we go to that screen time and we look at like, okay, how much you spend on Instagram, how much you spend on YouTube, how much you spend on this, and then you
Yeah.
ask yourself, how much of that time was feeding my spirit?
Right.
So this is not what watching this is not negative social media consumption because it's feeding the spirit.
Right.
But then outside of this, what else is being consumed?
Yeah.
And is what's being consumed before this or after this negating what was consumed while watching this?
Yeah.
Because it's like walking on the treadmill eating a bucket of fried chicken. If you watch this and then somebody and then they go watch some junk,
Yeah.
and now the messages is combating and confusing, so you really just got nothing because the positive and then the negative and then boom, now you back at square zero.
Yeah. Man, bro, like the mental health of the world, bro, I really see it deteriorating because we all get stuck in our echo chambers. And then my heart goes out to women because the beauty standards are already tough enough. But then like you get on the internet and then now you battling pretty women with Photoshop, with AI, with BBLs, and now that's in your mind. And we see the marketing and the influx of veneers, BBLs, get this surgery, get that, and it just blows my mind just when I see like you don't really have to market. All you got to do is just put it out there for people to envy and be insecure about themselves enough to go and do it, but also not have enough time that they're spending with God to have awareness that I shouldn't do this. And for men, we have our is lust is its own battle.
And bro,
But
you know what, before I forget, I want to share something with the people, and I'm able to share it because it wasn't that close to me, and so I'm able to speak on it, which is good and bad. But my mom's stepsister, so they don't share a mom and dad, but they identify as sisters because they've known each other for since they were like teenagers. My grandmother married this woman's dad.
okay,
Her, so I've always called her aunt, and I've always called her son. She has one child. Her son, my cousin. His daughter was 12 years old, and she took a gun from home to school and went in the bathroom and killed herself
wow,
last week. And the
wow,
reason why I share that is because the mom and the son were raising her. So here you have the mom and the son pouring and depositing into her. And then yet still whatever was going on in her life caused her to take her life at 12 years old in the school bathroom. And she fought for a life, for a few days and then passed away. But it's like, think about the world that we in. Social media played a part.
yeah, yeah,
Comparison played a part.
wow,
And so when you think about, and so she shot herself in the head, and it went in one side and out the other. And we have guns. We know the power of a bullet, of a gun.
yeah,
And so when you think about a little girl getting that and using that, And I think a lot of times we don't process that, how this stuff that we're doing and our habits with the phone and with the TV we watch and the lifestyle we live, it trickles down to our children.
Yeah.
And they watch that and they see that and they're allowed to, engage in it. And then even if they're not, let's say they're not allowed to engage because it's so normal outside of them, that could drive them crazy because they feel like an alien.
Yeah.
They feel like everybody glued to the phone and I don't get to use my phone.
Right.
So it's like even that still creates an environment of comparison and inadequacy, confusion. And this is a silent but loud killer that the devil. And so I'm glad you sounding the trumpet. And I know the Lord is pleased because I really don't hear anybody else talking about it and the dangers. And that's something that since I met you, you've been on. Like you'll go dark on social media for 6 months, easy, 6 weeks, 2 weeks. Like you'll take your account, you'll put your account, archive it, do your thing, live your life, and then you'll come back when you're ready. And you do it in doses. And I haven't met anybody else that really does that. Now, one thing I have noticed is a lot of my clients, women, have Instagram but don't use it. They don't post on it. And so I'm seeing that as a positive. But
Yeah.
it's a positive and a negative because although they don't post, they could go on, a lot of them go on every day and compare their life.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then that makes them not want to post from
Yeah.
feeling inadequate and not good enough.
Bro, that's the thing of what the adversary been doing since the beginning. That's why Adam and Eve ate of the fruit. It was insecurity, right? It was this deception of like you aren't enough. And then in Genesis it says, "Let us make man in our own image and likeness." And that's the deception that the adversary wants us to get caught up in, is seeing something outside of ourselves, thinking that it's going to make us feel, oh, this going to make me feel better, whether it's money, whether it's women, whether it's the body, the career, the title, the relationship, is envy, right? Is everything that is not of the fruit of the spirit, and I think about that now. I'm like, bro, everything is trying to. That's how our society works. Is insecurity. Like most of the stuff that we're marketing, towards all day, every day, is to attach to our insecurities to get us to react, to respond, to get the clothes. Oh man, look at this influencer. Look at this celebrity. They got that outfit on. I'm gonna go get that because I want to feel like somebody. I want to be like somebody. And bro, that'd be my challenge, bro. Like, man, I have some moments. I was sitting at the bar the other day ordering some food. I got some soup, and where I was sitting at, this dude walked up and he asked me if I could move because him and his some friends was coming. And in that moment, like my ego was like, man, you trying to little boy me. I let it go. I moved over. I slid over. And then you know how guys are. He asked me, "So what do you do?" One of those conversations. And I just kept it vague. I didn't tell him what all I particularly like did. But again, that insecurity, like I'm already kind of like, you bother me. But then I let him tell on himself and say what he did, right? And in that moment, I could have upped him and like said what I do and like kind of established myself within the social hierarchy. But I was like, man, I'm not even about to sink to that level. Like, God, thank you that I'm not insecure and that like I don't, like, because I've had those moments like, man, I need to, start wearing a Rolex. Or I need to like, show my social status when I go out so people will treat me. But I'm like, no, man, if Jesus was here today, how would he move? How would he be seen? And going back to the social media thing, bro, like, and I think about my life in those moments and then being on my phone, but also just being present. I'm like, man, if I get to heaven and there's an opportunity to replay, how much of my time is me watching myself on my phone versus like living life and like doing what God has called me to do and just being present in every opportunity that I have. I think about that now, like you're talking about it, like the screen time, and it's so real. I'm like, man, like how many people gonna get to heaven and the short time that they had, they spent it on the internet or in front of a device. But anyway, not to prolong it, but yeah, man, I'm gonna keep living, and that is my truth. I'll be feeling awkward talking about it because it's such a normal thing. Even like if I meet girls today and I'm like, I'm not on Instagram. They're like, you're not on Instagram. You must have a girl. Like you hiding. I'm like, no, like I'm not that, Like I know how to have an interaction without being on Instagram. It's like the new kind of like how like alcohol going in a bar and like approaching girls gives you like a little liquid courage. That blue check and like Instagram is like the same thing in a way, right? It's a double-edged sword. It has some pros to it. I'm not being super negative, but I see that like how the clout of things, like if a girl, you know, if I was full of myself and like a girl see that you follow me online, you know, like how I could use that to my advantage and use that as like liquid courage, like, yeah, Tony Gaskins follow me, I'm certified. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just so much that I just reflect and I think about, and I'm just like, man, I'm good. I don't want nothing to do with that. I want to live like I'm in the 90s, man. You know, and it has its pros and its cons, but I'm gonna keep being me.
Yeah, you got me thinking about that because I followed this random guy the other day. I was looking for another guy, and then I followed this other guy with the same name, and I unfollowed him. But I had DM'd him saying sorry about following you, and then he wrote me back, he was like, "It's okay, I followed you back." But when I look at him, I don't know if he's like a scammer. I think he's like a scammer, and so I'm
Uh,
like, Lord, this gonna cost me. But at the same time, now that I done talked to him, I don't want to unfollow him because I'm like, okay, Lord, show me. Like maybe my videos might hit them. Like maybe this
yeah,
my chance to reach the loss, and hopefully a woman is not crazy enough to think that me following him is stamping him. But a lot of women are not that aware, and they fall for that. And I have had guys like call me, or they meet this woman, and I haven't talked to them in years, and they'll call me like we boys. And I find out later in like a coaching session with the woman, like, yeah, he's your friend. And I'm like, who are you talking about? And they'll say, you know, such and such. I'm like, I don't have a clue who that is. What? He said, y'all friends. Y'all, he posted a picture of y'all. I said, I take a picture with everybody. Like,
man.
what? He say he know you. He say y'all cousins. He say, I'm like, huh? He say you his uncle. Like, I done heard it all. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know you could get clout off of that. You know, I didn't know that's how that worked in that
It's social
sense.
proof.
Yeah, that's been mind boggling to me, man. So it's like, man, I don't want to unfollow Buddy. Because honestly, it'd hurt me if he unfollowed me. Like, just
Right,
be
bro. And that's the thing is like, why? Why
right.
are we so attached? Like, why are we so attached to these things, man?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's the same thing, bro. Like, I remember deleting my first Instagram account. I had maybe like 2,500 followers at the time, but I asked myself, I'm like, it was like God talked to me like, who do you think you are? Like, why can't you let go of this thing? You know?
Right.
And that was like my wake up call at that time. Like, yeah, don't get too attached to this. You're gonna leave all this, but why are you so attached to this? Like
Right.
questioning, like you'll never probably meet this person in real life, but you feel like that. I think, bro, it's gonna be cool seeing like the next 30, 40 years when they study us as a species, you know, as Homo sapiens in our advance of like how social media and the even our connection, bro. Because had it not been for the internet, I would have probably not been able to connect with you. So it has its pros, you know, but then it has this other side too that's very weird, you know. But it's interesting, bro. Just and bro, again, just the mental health thing, bro. I've just seen so much, especially like we've talked about this too, just like with women, and I've so many women hearing from God. Like, bro, the amount of DMs I've gotten from women saying that God told them something or that they're aware of witches or like just certain things, and I'm just like God got my phone number. He know where I'm at. He could reach me. But it's like God telling you all of this, but you don't got no discernment when it comes to that man or like nothing else. But God, and just I don't know, bro. I look at it in so many different angles, and I'm like, bro, I think it's doing more harm than it is good for a lot of our people, and especially, man, not to say that it's greater, but especially for our women, just seeing the comparison trap, bro. And just man, I've just I don't know. Somebody got to sound the alarm, bro. Just the mental health of people is just going down in general on both sides. But yeah,
That's deep. Man, hey, this was a great conversation, my bro. So I'm gonna let you close us out.
yeah, man. Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in. We back. It's 2025. We staying strong. I know a couple people reached out to me like, "Yo, it's louder than words still going." We still going. You know, we just doing it as we can when our schedules align. So y'all just stay tuned. Appreciate the love and support, and we'll be back. Peace.